How's it going? Chad from S1 Built here. Today I'm going to show you how to lock the non-ramping style CRV element diff, which we'll put somewhere up here or down here. And I'm going to start off with some tools, basic tools. 8mm flathead. I got a set of pliers, some brake cleaner, some gasket maker. I'm going to show you guys all that stuff separately. And these are our clutch locking plates that we're going to be installing. So you guys should have 8 in total, and it's going to be 7 thicker ones and 1 thinner one. So we're going to start off by removing these 8mm right here. There's 8mm, and we use hand tools to prevent it from breaking.
I try to pick one thought, have some concentration, and if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
So we have 4 shorter ones from the top and 4 longer ones from the 4 on the bottom, 8 total. We're going to put those aside. After the bolts are removed, there is a spot right here where you can leverage a flathead screwdriver or anything you want, maybe a little pry bar, but you can leverage here and push hard and it'll crack the case open, just like that. So now when you guys pull this case apart, your clutch locking plates may fall out and everything, which is okay, but if you kind of pull it slow to try to get the clutch locking plates to not fall out. So all that stuff in there is what we're going to change, and they may fall everywhere, which is okay. After the case is removed, we're going to put it aside for a second. We're going to remove this collar, and we remove this collar because we are no longer pumping the fluid inside of the pump. So this collar is going to get removed because that acts as a gear basically to pump the pump. So this is going to get removed and put in our trash pile. There are 3 8mm on the pump itself. So this housing is the pump. So again, hand tools, it's an 8mm. We're going to crack this pump, all 3 of these, 1, 2, and then 3 down here on the other side. We're going to remove these by hand. And these are the 3 bolts, and we're going to put these aside with our other bolts. Once those are out, this pump will slide out, revealing a pin. And this pin can fall out just like that. It's okay if it falls out. So this pin is on the other side of the pump. When this shaft rotates, it spins this pump. And like I said, we no longer want the fluid to circulate, so we don't want the pump to pump anymore. So this pin is going to go in our garbage pile. So this pump, for a second, we're going to put this pump aside for a second until we're done cleaning this area. So now we have some fluid that can drain out. But our other concern as well is this has a screen and a magnet. The screen is used to filter the debris going to the pump, but since we're no longer using the pump anymore, the fluid will no longer circulate. So this screen can get pulled out and get thrown in our garbage pile. So we are going to clean the magnet, which holds shavings from the diff. And we're going to remove this magnet and clean the magnet. So the magnet's out, and we're gonna clean the magnet just with a cloth for now, and I'm also going to brake clean it. Just clean all the little debris that comes in with the diff break-in and stuff like that, which is common, perfectly normal. Give this a little clean. And now we are going to get into cleaning the diff as well. So the pumpkin portion of the diff, we're going to clean this out a tiny bit. Gonna reinstall the magnet with a pair of pliers. Kind of like tap it in there a little bit. It goes in. Sometimes they're a little hard, sometimes they're easy. Now we're going to clean the rear diff portion. Basically these kind of long pieces, as long as it's OEM, they kind of just fall right off. With your finger you can kind of just peel them off, unless it was someone has resealed it in the past, but you can pull these strings off. And we use a little bit of brake cleaner and 2000 grit sandpaper. Now if you're very careful, you can use a razor blade or like a plastic razor blade. But if you see here with the 2000 grit sandpaper, you can just go really easy with a little bit of brake cleaner so that it doesn't scratch or scuff the aluminum. And after I clean it, after we sanded and cleaned this all, we're just going to spray it again one last time with a little bit of brake cleaner, clean the dust out. And we have noticed the diffs where they have been breaking is in this little groove right here. So we personally weld this little groove in the shaft right here. So now for my next step, I'm going to clean this surface and get it over to the welder and get it welded. We personally sell our diffs and recommend that people weld the shaft if they want to prevent any failures in the future. So as you guys can see now, the pinion shaft has been welded. And like I said before, just to prevent breakage, because we see that this is a common failure point. So now this is starting to go back together. So we can take this pump, after we took all that stuff out before, the pump can now just get put back on with the 3 8mm we put aside earlier. These 3 8mm we put aside earlier, and everything is hand tight. Once that's back together, now we can put this aside and we can get back to the cover portion with the clutch locking plates inside of it. So the first thing you're going to see is this top plate, basically the cover, and this we do need to keep. So to get this top plate cover, make sure there's nothing stuck to it, and this we're going to put on the side for a second and we're going to get back to it. Now you see all the clutch locking plates in there. We can flip this upside down, they're all going to drop out. So now what you see in here is an empty basket. Make sure that no plates get stuck at the bottom of this. Like there's no plate stuck, but sometimes a plate could get stuck at the bottom of this. And these are what we call the clutch locking plates. So this center section, which is basically almost like a gear, this we need to put aside for a second. But all of this that comes out of the inside, this is all gonna go in our garbage pile. Now when you get back to this, there's a C-clip on here. We're gonna remove this C-clip. And this C-clip is gonna go to the garbage pile as well. Now we get down to the product, which is the clutch locking plates. And again, you guys are gonna have 7 thicker ones and 1 thinner one. And now what you can see here is that all of these have a number and a little slot right here. This number and this slot is there for a reason. They're all gonna be face the same direction when we install it inside of the diff. So now we see that this one is facing up, that we can read it, and there's a space right here, and we're going to install this. It's going to slide down into the plate. So now that we see that one, we need to match the next one, the next number 1 with the next slot in the exact same location, so that it's matched with the one underneath. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to put all 7 thick ones and the 1 thin one at top. So again, every one is going to face the same direction. That's 1, 2 in there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Last one is a thin one, same thing, facing up, 8. After those installed, we're going to take our center gear that locks the inside to the outside together inside of that basket, and this gear with the flat side is going to face downwards, and you can kind of see that it's down a little bit in the center. But we're going to put this gear back in It's gonna lock the inside and the outside together. Once that's down, we're gonna take our cover plate that we put aside, and that plate is just gonna rest right on top of the clutch locking plate basket. Should look like something like that. Now we're going to take this portion that we didn't clean and we're gonna clean it just like we did the other face. Now that it's all clean and the old silicone is off, we're gonna get the new silicone put back on to get this sealed back together. Just a gasket maker, oil resistant gasket maker, and just a thin layer of silicone. You can even put it on with your finger. I'm gonna start putting it on with this, and then I'm gonna lighten it with my finger.
Perfect.
Now that the silicone's on, we're going to put the front cover and the diff together. And we need to be careful because we can't flip this upside down or the clutch locking plates on the inside will fall out. So if I flip this upside down right now, everything's going to fall out. So I kind of like to put it on the edge of a table. I'm going to see if I could do this by myself. And we are going to slowly tilt this down and jiggle it together, just like that. Give it a little jiggle, a little twist, and little twist over here, a little jiggle, it'll go back in. When it's done, I like to lift it up, and we're gonna take those bolts we put aside earlier. We have the 4 shorter ones that go on the top of the diff, and then we're gonna have the 4 longer ones go towards the bottom of the diff. So the lowest 4 holes be the longer, and we are going to tighten these with hand tools. So now that this is tightened, your diff is ready to go with the clutch locking plates installed. And I do want to show you guys what we have in the garbage so that you guys can see what we threw away. So we threw away the clutch locking plates that we've replaced with the S1 built clutch locking plates. We've thrown away the filter screen because we're no longer pumping the diff. These were the units that used to be pumping the diff, so these were removed and this was removed so that that pump inside the diff is no longer circulating fluid. And this was the ring that was around the unit holding in some of the clutch locking plates. So now that that is all gonna go into the garbage and your diff is ready to go. If you guys have any questions, check us out on our website, Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that, and have a great day.
It's American made, but we all will drive the world. I see them changing the game. That's when always will. Got them cars killing speeds and just sound